Hello and welcome to Hot Topics from the Soul. I'm your host, Dr. Valerie Parker Hagan. I have my co host.
And good afternoon, good evening. Dr. J.R. Ficklin here, and I'm so glad to be able to be with you tonight. Here we are on the 28th day of December, which means that not only are we in the last Thursday of this year, 2023, we're here with the last 3 days of the year. Only 3 days of this year
Wow.
is really left. And there's so much to talk about, so much to reflect upon, but so much to look forward to. So I'm excited to get started.
Indeed, indeed. I'm so excited about 2024. I don't know about those of you tuning in with us right now, but it has been a journey. It has been a chore getting through 2023. There's been some losses, some increases, some different things going on, affecting us mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. So I am hoping that this show would encourage and inspire those of you viewing us today to be motivated with a purpose for 2024.
The great thing about it, Dr. Val, is that we began to prepare for 2024, not January 1. We start right now. And I like to look at it from this perspective that we're not looking at this year as winding down. We're not winding down, but rather we're winding up in our preparation in expectation of 2024. And tonight, we really want to talk about more than just a wish list. What are some strategic actions that we can take? What are some things that we can do that is more than us making what we call New Year resolutions and rather having really some solid plans, some solid prayers, some solid, if you would, some solid ambitions toward what the next year brings. And that's what I'm excited about because, as you said, this has not been the easiest of years. This year has been a very interesting year in many ways, both personally, professionally, and we see it happening nationwide as a nation. And so many people get to this part of the year, and many of them are on fumes. They're running out of
Mm.
gas. They're on fumes. If I can barely make it, if I just can make it in. And well, I want to really work on how do we change that perspective tonight? That we're not operating on fumes, but we're operating, if you would, on renewed energy. We talk about renewable energy, renewable passion, renewable pursuit. And that's what's going to be important this year. And it is not a wish list. It is really something that is practical, but it all begins in your mind. It begins with your mindset. And that's what I'm looking forward to tonight to talk about.
Absolutely. It all generates in the mind. And, when your head is together, the rest of you is going to be together. And, our wealth is always based on our ability to think. So if we're not
Absolutely.
thinking about the next move, rather you have a job or you're um, uh, independent contractor or you're an entrepreneur, your wealth is based on your ability to think. If you're at a job, don't just do enough just to get by. Learn everything you can about that business you're in because guess what? You have the ability to create generational wealth by learning from that employer that you're with so that when you get ready to evolve, when you have this mental capacity to want to evolve and start your own, you'll know how to do it. People just look at businesses and think, oh, I'm just going to slap some mush against the wall and hopefully it sticks. No, everything needs to be structured. Everything needs to be in order. When I think about my journey as an entrepreneur, I put time in, Dr. J. I was
Absolutely.
working since I was 11 years old. I was working
Absolutely.
with my Uncle Johnny, who owned a hoagie house. And I was like, wow, we got a family member that owns a restaurant. I mean, it was thriving.
Exactly.
And I'm at 11 years old. And I wanted a summer job. And he was like, well, you can come and work for me. I started there with my Uncle Johnny at that hoagie
Right.
house serving ice cream. He had an ice cream
Right.
section where you could scoop the ice cream and put it on the cone. And I would do that. And I was faithful at doing that. Then, when I turned 12, I was able to go to the stove area where they actually did the cooking and everything for the
Yes.
hoagies, the steaks, and shredded. He showed me how to do it. And I was just so absorbing the information that he was giving out, and I was excited about the fact that, you know, I was a little bit of thing. I think I weighed all about 70 pounds at then, but I was serving ice cream and I was learning how to cook on that stove and make the best hoagies there was in Long Island. And
But
yeah, so what I'm
let-
saying to you is, whatever you do it well. Don't just do it enough to get by. Learn information. And what I learned from him was business.
yes,
Family is okay, but there's business. You got to separate the two. I got paid for what I did. And as I worked and grew, here I am at that point, 16 years old, working off and on in the summer for my Uncle Johnny at that hoagie house. Then I was able to go get a job. And I was the only Black person working in this Jewish restaurant in Queens, because I had learned how to cook and everything at the hoagie house with my Uncle Johnny. So I applied for a job in New York, and I started working at this Jewish deli. I learned so many things from there. I learned structure. I learned order. I learned how to be on time. I learned customer service. Ergo is why I do what I do now, because of all the trainings throughout the years. And then after I did that, I graduated and I said I wanted more. And I applied for this clerk position at Saks Fifth Avenue. I started at Saks Fifth Avenue, not in the store in New York.
wow,
I worked for the office part of Saks Fifth Avenue, the administrative offices where it all started, you know. And they taught me how to do what clerical work, because I had no idea what I was doing. I started as a file clerk. Then somehow I wound up being a bookkeeper
wow,
at Saks Fifth Avenue, one of the largest major department stores in the world. I was the bookkeeper for
wow.
all of the stores at Saks Fifth Avenue. And then I transferred here to Florida, Fort Lauderdale, but it didn't work out with the transfer because they wanted to put me in the department store, and I was not department
Yes.
store quality.
Yeah, but your whole journey began with the fact of simply being there with your uncle. I think you said you're in this store, you see this opportunity there, you pick up all these traits and these skill set, this mindset that you have, and you get promoted because after you have gone forth with your passion to do what you did, he promoted you to more things. And I think that's what people need to understand. So often we have goals and we have dreams and things we want to do, but too often people want to start at the top and don't recognize that it's all those things that you need to learn beforehand that undergirds you, that makes you strong, that gives you solid foundation. And that's what's so very important. And inside of everything that you did, it promoted you to the next level. It fed your hunger. It fed your fire. It fed your belief system. In other words, that which once was impossible became possible because you had seen it work. And then you talked about coming to Fort Lauderdale. I mean, you've done so many things. You have not only you had your own newspaper, you did all kind of things inside of that, public relations, working with people inside of so many different arenas. And all that comes from really a work ethic that was birthed very young. And it brings me to a point that I think is so important. For many people who are living out 2023, for many, they will take this time to lament over what went wrong in 2023. They will take this time to really lament over the things that didn't go right. They will lament over all the pain that they suffered. But I am saying to you, don't waste too much time on focusing on the pain, because we have to remember, whatever we nurture, that's what grows.
Yes,
if we
indeed.
nurture that pain, if we nurture the failures, if we nurture the backsets, if we nurture any of those things, that's what grows. But we have to look at those things once again and grab the lesson out of it. You know, there's a lesson inside of everything that we go through. But as I always say, it's not enough to go through. You have to grow through.
Gotta
You have
go
to grow
through it.
through. And the only way you can grow through is that you have to have some challenges. You have to have some adversity. You have to have some problems that arise. You have to have some things there, because your capacity is never, ever expanded inside of comfort. Your capacity is never expanded inside of comfort. So sometimes people forget what happens between the first of the year and the last of the year. Sometimes we run out of momentum. We run out of momentum because we're not constantly feeding ourselves with the things that we need to keep us going. We run out of momentum because we take a hit here, we take a hit there. Maybe something derogatory was said toward us. Maybe we were actually mistreated. We're not saying it's some imaginary thing. Sometimes it's real. But the thing is that we cannot allow it to control us. We cannot allow it to overpower us. We have to keep that drive going. In other words, even with the obstacles and the opposition, they really become, if you would, opportunities. And that's what we have to see them as opportunities and make up in our mind. I'm not going to let this one thing derail me. Exactly. I refuse to do so. I'm not going to allow it to derail me. In other words, even when there are those that seemingly rejoice at your failure, rejoice at your downfall, rejoice at your mistake, rejoice at the fact of you having trouble, that's no reason to give up even then. As a matter of fact, that's when you begin to understand that I can step on those things. In other words, the things they throw at me, those rocks that they thrown at me, man, they're nothing but things to walk on, because you have to make a determination within yourself. And the determination has to be really realistic. In other words, what am I going to do here? I'm going to purpose. I love saying that. I purpose within myself to do this. I have purpose within myself that I'm going to accomplish this. I have purpose it. And when I purpose it, watch this, I have to come in agreement with myself first and foremost. Because there are many times when you really decide to do something that is meaningful, something that is life-changing, something that I call that is earth-shaking, oftentimes you're going to be the only one that believes that you can do it. The
only one that believes it.
And so you can't wait for the affirmations. You can't wait for the confirmations from others. You can't wait for 536,000 likes. You just got to know that you got to do it. And you got to put forth your mind that you're going to do it. And guess what? This is the time that you put on blinders. And you put on those blinders and you see nothing but the goal ahead of you. Because if we really want what we're pursuing, then we must be willing to fall in love with the process. The process is not always easy. The process is that part that hurts. But man, it's also that process is that part that develops us, that makes us, that causes us to grow. And you grew. I mean, listen, your size didn't stop you. You being a lightweight did not stop you in size, because what was greater than your weight was your ambition, your pursuit. What you saw in your mind, what you saw in your heart, your believability, and to be able to believe in yourself. And I do believe that we have to develop. If we're talking about really walking in our purpose, how to make 2024 a walk of purpose, it must begin with our mindset, starting right now. No, don't wait till 11:59 p.m. on December 31st. Starting here. I sound like Luther Vandross. Starting here, starting now, right? We have to make up in our mind, starting here, starting now, that I have purpose in my mind, that I am going forth in 2024. Nothing is going to stop me, that I am aligning myself. I'm making adjustments to myself. And part of that, when we do that, it will cause us to go outside our comfort zone.
It's always going to be uncomfortable when you're stretching. It's just like putting on a girdle. When you're trying to pull it up, it's uncomfortable trying to get past those layers. I mean, you got to pull, you got to stretch, to try and get it. So life is going to be uncomfortable. And sometimes it is absolutely painful. But the mere fact that you're still here means that there's still purpose awaiting you. And you have to condition your mind and put in your mind that I want more, I want greater, regardless of what it looks like. And sometimes it's going to feel so horrible, it's like it takes your breath away, but you have to stay focused on wanting more. And in order to want more, you have to do more. So many times we get so lax in days and we want someone to do the work for us. And then we want to show up and say, voila, everything happened. And we want the applause and the recognition for work we didn't put in for. And then we get mad when other people are awarded and get the applause, but you didn't put in the work. I mean, years of working in the community with the Soul of a Woman Foundation and, you know, my for-profit business, Arise by VNP, which is a speakers bureau and a PR company. I worked hard to accomplish those things that I accomplished. But I wanted to be able to sow into the lives of individuals. So I wanted to be able to get back because of the fact that God has been so good. Matter of fact, he's been better than good to me. You know, every
Absolutely.
day when I wake up, it's a new day. And I'm so glad to be a part of it. When I look at my children and my grandchildren and knowing that my parents are still here. I'm 64 years old and I still have my parents. What a blessing.
Yes. What a
You
blessing.
know, so I wanted to be able to give back. And, you know, a lot of times, Dr. J, you know, you and I are there working in the vineyards. We have our nonprofits. You have Man of Precious Destiny by Choice, and you're
Yes.
constantly working, and we're not always recognized. But we did get recognitions. You got the
Yeah.
Obama Presidential Award. I got
Exactly.
the Biden Presidential Award because we put in the work. And, you
Absolutely.
know, I applaud and thank Dr. D. Thompson for recognizing, you know, there's someone
Absolutely.
always watching, even though you don't think so, there's always someone watching what you do. And I'm so glad that I had within me to want to help somebody, you know, because I wasn't always here. I wasn't always Dr. Valerie Parker. I was homeless. Me and my 4 children lived in a garage on one mattress for 3 months. I wasn't always here. I know what it is to be hungry. I know what it is not to have. I know what it is to have your children eat and I not be able to eat. I know what that feels like to get my car repossessed. I know what it feels like to be locked out of your home and you're
Yes.
stuck out on the street. I know what that's about, but I survived it. So I'm going to and want to encourage you that are maybe going through transition. You know, there's so much price gouging with rentals and even with your own home. People can't
Right.
afford to stay in their homes. They can't afford to pay their car insurance. They can't afford to even get groceries for their family. But thank God you're still here. And your wealth is always based on your ability to think. As I said earlier in the show, you got to always be thinking. There's so many resources out here for you to tap into to help you get to the next level, but you got to be willing to participate in your own rescue. And that's where the default happens, Dr. J. Folks won't participate in their rescue, not even for mental resolve. A
Hmm.
lot of people think that if they get mental help or go to a psychiatrist that they're crazy. No, there's some layers of stuff that has to be pulled out that you yourself can't work out. So you have to be willing to tap in to resources that are available and participate in your rescue.
It is absolutely necessary. And that's what we have to start. You know, when we reflect back on what happens, you know, what studies tell us every year, you find from January to March, you'll find all of the fitness centers has an increase in membership. All
Mhm.
of the places that, you know, the Jenny Craigs all have an increase in membership. Why? Because people in their mind say, well, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to do these things here. You know what happened? They will start out with a head full of energy, just full of it. And then guess what? They begin to succumb to old habits or they become distracted by things around them. Sometimes we have to be able to move beyond what we feel in order to get what we desire. We have to move beyond what we feel in order to get what we desire. So the areas that we have to be very careful if we're going to make 2024 a walk of purpose, there's a few major areas we have to focus on. First of all, we have to focus on ourselves. We have to make ourselves a priority this year. That's what I said. Yeah, you got to make yourself a priority this year. Secondly, we got to focus on the relationships that we have.
Wow.
Relationship, not only romantic relationship, but relationship we have with business, relationship
Yes.
that we have with community, relationship that we may have with our churches. We've got to focus on relationship. And then here's one that is very major. We have to focus on our health in 2024. We have to think about what am I going to do? In other words, we only have one vehicle to be able to carry out our mission. And this on one body is the only one that we get, right? Unlike a rental car, we can't go turn this one in when it started, acting up. We can't go rent a body. No. We have to take care
Rent
of
a body. That's funny. A lot of times we think we can rent a body.
Yeah, sometimes we do, but we must do what? We must look very fervently. This is one of the things that I know that is purposeful. Is if we're to be successful in 2024, we must stay focused on our goals, focus on our ambitions, focus on that which we're pursuing. We must remain fervent, meaning that, folks, we have to continually encourage ourselves. What is your self-talk? And not only what is your self-talk, what is the things that you're entertaining around you? Are you in the right circles where people are feeding your faith, or are there people that are sabotaging your faith? Are you dealing with people that always find a problem in every solution, or are you around people who find a solution to every problem? We have to remain focused. We have to remain fervent. And then the last thing, we have to remain faithful. Faithful to that which we're doing. Faithful to what that means. The fact, I don't care what, just as sure as your alarm clock or your Alexa or whatever you wake up with goes on, we're going to have to tell ourselves to get up from there. No, I'm not laying down. I'm not going to tell her to snooze 10 minutes. I'm not going to tell her to snooze 15 minutes. I've got to get up because I got to remain faithful to what I'm pursuing, because our pursuit is the only real sign of our hunger. Other than that, we're just having a dream. We have to be very serious in 2024. How do I declutter my thing? Start decluttering now. Start decluttering your mindset. For some, we need to start decluttering our physical presence. Declutter your house. Declutter your briefcase. Declutter your desk. Declutter, because you need to be able to think freely. You need to be able to think so inside of it. And you need to make up in your mind. Here's another thing you need to declutter. You need to declutter everything that have come at you negatively. I read a friend of mine post briefly a few minutes ago, and they said that they had 3 more days before their divorce is final.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh God, I didn't know. I said, I didn't know if they had gotten married. And the thing about it, the divorce was about the fact that what they were divorcing in 2023, the things they're divorcing defeat. They're divorcing, if you would, doubt. They're divorcing negative naysayers. They're divorcing those that have come against them. They're divorcing excuses. And I'm telling you, those are the things we have to make up in our mind, because some things is not a matter of what people say about us or what people say to us, but it's what we say to ourselves. What are we saying to ourselves? What are we rehearsing in our mind? A few minutes ago, you talked about the fact that we both have had the privilege and the pleasure and the honor to be recipients of the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Awards. And those are very prestigious things that I don't make light of. And yet and still, one of the reasons I think you and I both are able to walk in it, and not that we ever will minimize it. It is something, it is recorded in the Library of Congress in the United States of America. But one of the reasons why it is not something that just calls us to get big-headed is because of the fact we never sought out for it. We never sought to do so. We simply made it our business to do what we knew that we were assigned to do. And one of your favorite saying is that when we're in alignment with our assignment, there's nothing that can stop us. And so what did we do? We fulfill the words of, if you would, of Winston Churchill, who said, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. Yes. And we have made a life by what we give. And what we give is our service to mankind. What we give is our wisdom to mankind. What we give is uplifting to mankind. What we give, if you would, is hope to those that are hopeless. And so therefore, those are things that oftentimes will cause you and I to be more focused, because we recognize this. It's not about us. It's not about us. It's not about us, because I like the way, I think Paul said it this way. He said, for we have this treasure in earthen vessels.
Earthen vessels.
Yes, that the excellency of the power may be of God and not of us. If you see any good in us, it's not of us. It is because we've got directions and instructions in our assignment. And many people, the reason why we struggle with being successful, because somehow or another we get out of alignment with our assignment. We get out of alignment, and there are so many things that so easily get us out of alignment. One naysayer. And I think it's so important to say this, Dr. Val, because I know even in my mindset, I purpose. Notice I go back to, I purpose in 2024, that there are certain things you and I have to learn to say goodbye to. What do you mean?
Absolutely.
That means that sometimes we have to break the shackles off our own minds. There are people that will hold you hostage to your past failure, to your past mistake. There are people, if you will allow them, to hold you hostage to your watch this, to your past immaturity. There are people that hold you hostage to the things that you did not have right at one time. But you cannot allow someone to hold you back on chapter 3 when you're really entering chapter 7 of your life. This is not a repeat chapter. It is a new chapter. So as we purpose in our mind in 2024, we have to decree this is a new season. This is a new day. This is a new chapter in my life. I am not held responsible for yesterday's chapter. I'm not held hostage to yesterday's chapter. In other words, I am writing a new chapter in my life starting when? Today. I'm writing a new chapter in my life starting today. That means, guess what? Sometimes you have to break yourself free from man's opinion.
Well, they got to break themselves free from their own opinion, Dr.
Exactly. Because when you allow men's opinion become your opinion of yourself, you enter a danger zone.
Mm-hmm.
You enter a danger zone because no one knows what you go through like you know what you go through.
Mm-hmm.
No one knows the adversity that you face like you know what you face. You know, it is said that adversity introduces a man or a woman to themselves. I find out who I am through my adversity. I don't find out who I am because of fact of awards and things like that. No, that is only a reflection of what I have been up until this point. But I know who I am when I face adversity. When I learn to rise up above the no's, because we're going to get no's in our lives. But the truth be told, your no ought to be your motivator.
Mm-hmm.
The no's in our lives ought to be our motivator. When someone says no, thank you very much. Because I'm going to keep pushing till there is a yes. Mm-hmm. And sometimes in order to get the yes, we have to walk out of the comfort zone of where we are. Have you ever thought maybe the circle I'm hanging with is too small? Have you ever thought maybe the people I've been sharing my dreams with and sharing my ambition with, maybe these people are too close-minded? Did you ever think all the time when you're passing by a high-rise building, have you ever been to the 30th floor? Do you know what's up there? No, because we pass by without ever even thinking we belong there. And sometimes we have to change our landscape of our own mindset by getting out of that car, go up, get on the elevator. Where are you going? I'm going all the way up to the top. Because what I need to see is not on the bottom. Mm-hmm. You know, Les Brown says it this way. He says, you know what? He says, always strive to be on the top because it's crowded at the bottom.
Absolutely.
It's crowded at the bottom. And most people will exhaust themselves. Most people will give out on their dreams. Most people will fail in mediocrity because they're dwelling in the bottom. They're trying to impress folks that are at the bottom. But you got to understand that, listen, where I want to get to is at the top. Mm-hmm. Everybody can't take the altitude at the top. Everybody can't breathe in the thinner air. And so that's what you got to understand. I refuse to keep going through what I've gone through and not be conditioned for a greater altitude. Because if I'm going to go through all of this, that means the fact that I should be rising. Even we know that we go from faith to faith and glory to glory. That means, guess what? My next success, my next window, my next accomplishment is a place of faith. It's not a place of familiarity. It's a place of faith. Because anything that is not of faith is sin. Mm-hmm. So guess what? If it doesn't cause you to stretch, it's not far enough. If it doesn't cause you to stretch, it's not big enough. If it doesn't cause you to stretch, then it's not your destiny. You have not even begun to scratch the surface of it. And so in 2024, we have to prepare our mindset to focus on those main areas of our lives. Once again, prioritize ourselves. Number 2, we have to prioritize and look at the relationships that we're in. Thirdly, we have to look at our health. It's very important. And I would say, if I was to say fourth, we have to be what? Deliberate and intentional about what we're going to pursue and how we're going to get there.
Absolutely, Dr. J. And the battlefield is in the mind. A lot of individuals have no idea who they are or whose they are. If what you're going through hasn't worked for you, that means you need to change your attitude, you change your mindset, change your friends, as you say. You know, Dr. J, as I began to grow in this entrepreneurial life that I've strived to and still striving to perfect, friends have shaved away. I didn't have to say nothing. They just went away. You
Absolutely.
know, I looked up and they were gone. And it is
Mhm.
because I went from glory to glory. See, when you're in alignment with your assignment, as I always say, then the world becomes your oyster. You can, they will beg for what you have to offer. They will
Mhm.
beg for your knowledge, your wisdom, your understanding. But you first have to recognize who you are. And a lot of people have no idea who they are because of the fact that they've been so busy on social media and YouTube looking at other people's lives and reality shows that have no significant purpose to them whatsoever. Why live out somebody's reality when you need to be forming your own? That's number one. 2024, turn off all of that distraction and imaginary lives that you think are so glorious and so grand, and create the life that you desire to live. It begins in your mind, and then your heart has to be open to the possibility of love. You know, so many people, they say they want love, they want to be in a relationship, or they don't feel love, and they're lonely at different times of life. You get lonely different stages of your life. Sometimes there's a void there because of the fact that you need more from Him, God, that
Yeah.
no earthly vessel can give you. And until you're willing to open yourself up to the possibility or a shift, then it's impossible for you to love somebody else unconditionally, because you're always looking at, I don't like his weight. Oh, I don't like his nose. I don't like his lips. I don't like this. Oh, her breasts are too big. She got too much junk in her trunk. You always find distractions or reason why not, when sometimes God has already aligned what He wants you to have in order to empower you and inspire you to get to that next level of where He desires you to be. Because a lot of people get so caught up and self-absorbed in themselves, not in themselves in a positive way to help them elevate. They get so absorbed in themselves where they want to be other people because they want what other people have and don't want to put in the work in order to get it. So there becomes a whole disconnect emotionally and mentally. I haven't seen since, I mean, COVID has really, really opened up for mental illness as it relates to individuals. You know, you see people acting out and in rage and shooting
Yeah.
and killing. It was already in there.
Mhm.
It's just that it had a chance to fester. And that's where God comes in at, where folks actually left God during COVID. They
Absolutely.
stopped praying, they stopped fasting, they stopped reading the word. Everything stopped during COVID because what? They focused on what was happening then. And they said, well, if God was God, why did He allow this? Why did I lose my loved one? Why did this happen? Why did that happen? But you know, the thing is that you are still here. And what are you going to do with the extension that God has given you in your life? 2024 is the only time that you can symbolically transfer from one year to the next and start anew symbolically. You can do it every day, but I'm saying symbolically as the world knows it, to transition from one year to the next and say, I'm divorcing this, as that person would
Yeah.
say. But are
Yes.
they really divorcing it? You know, when you divorce an individual, you still see that corpse walking around. So is it really a divorce? Because the temptation will still be there.
Absolutely.
I
And
divorced, I divorced, and I still saw that person, and those same emotions, those same things of anger and stuff rose up because I still saw that individual who I felt done me much harm. So I wouldn't really say I'm divorcing that. I'm cutting it off. Let's just move to the next level. I want greater. So this is who you need to be for 2024. I want greater for me, not for no other person. I want greater for me. And you talk about health, Dr. J. Nothing is good as health when you don't have it.
exactly. Health
When
is
you
actually
lose your
wealth.
health,
Yeah.
Dr. J, when you lose your health, there's nothing
Yes.
you can do about nothing. You can't even think about going to get on a plane to go on a vacation. You can't think about getting out of the bed and pulling up your clothes or even brushing your teeth. You
Hmm.
can't think about nothing when your body is in so much pain or so much of whatever is going on with you physically. You can't think if your body is not together. I have been for the last, I'd say about 15 years, really focusing on my health and, putting things together in perspective, because I've had a couple of scares where I wound up going in an emergency room because I work myself.
Right.
Entrepreneurs, you don't have a sense of time and you just keep working 24/7. I find myself up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning working, thinking about that next move, because if I don't work, I don't eat. And
Mhm.
so I'm always thinking about the next move. What can I do? But guess what? When I was sick, nothing else mattered. Nothing else matters. So we really have to focus on getting yourself together physically in order to get to the next level. There's a website there that I put up, www.businesswithval.com. You go to that website, and this product that I have been taking, and I've shared it with my family. And it has actually absolutely worked and taken them to the next level physically. When you're more aware and
Exactly.
and have the energy to want to do something, Dr. J, that's
Yes.
what's up. When you didn't feel like getting out of bed and now you want to get out of bed and do all kind of things. My parents are 80 and 84, and I have them on these products called Vitality and the liquid collagen and the immune defense. And Dr. J, when they take all kind of medicines. Now, like when you're seniors, whatever
Yes.
the doctors say you take it, and you don't think about what happens on the inside to your organs and the mental dysfunction that happens in your body when you're taking certain chemicals. You watch on television where they have these drugs advertising, and they say, "Oh, must." Sometimes it'll cause stroke, it'll cause
Yeah.
illness,
You hear all
nausea,
the
and the last thing, and even death.
yes.
But they take it because the doctor said take it. But I'm telling you that if you invest in your health, invest in yourself in natural products, not this pharmaceutical stuff that has all these additives and stuff that will cause your body harm. Natural, holistic products that work from a cellular level. Go to that website, businesswithval.com. And if you want to know more about, the what to take and what you to order, give me a call. The information is on that website where you can do it. So you got to focus on your health. Nothing tastes as good as health feels. Nothing.
Dr. Val, you said something that's so important because it's interesting. You could get money, you can get things, you can accumulate a lot of things, but once again, you only have but one vehicle to be able to carry it, and that's your body, your health. And so
This is the only house that we physically carry.
only physical house that we physically carry. So our health is really our new wealth. One of the prayers that I pray daily is, Lord, grant us soundness in health, provision and wealth, protection and favor, because we need it all. But it starts with our health.
Dr. J.
Isn't it amazing that here it is? It is so important that there's a scripture there in 3 John that says, "Beloved, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in health, even as our soul prospers." Now, here's the thing about it. What people don't understand, as much as we correlate the word health and healing, there are two different things in essence. In other words, healing is a need to be made restored, to be brought back into what? Health, to be brought back in good health. When we are walking in health, that means the fact that we are prospering inside of the functionality in which our bodies were designed to be able to do so. So when you start talking about the products that you have, your parents are taking and others that are taking, they're finding new energy, they're finding new strength, they're finding the sense
now my husband.
Oh yeah, exactly, right.
My husband.
He's become a whole different gardener, landscaper, and everything since he's been all this energy from out of nowhere.
I know You know, because usually he sleeps sometime to 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon because he takes these medications because he's always in pain. He's a retired wildland firefighter, so you know he's not a regular firefighter where sit and
Right.
wait to be called to put out. He was out there every day in the trenches. You know, like those California
Right. Exactly.
fires where you're going up the hill and you got
Yes.
to carry the hose and you're on the dozer. He did that every single day for 30 years.
Wow.
So his body is all broke up and everything. But I love him. But
Yes.
what I did like was the fact that he slept all day because of the medications he was on. And so now that he's been able to take these products offered by the company 3, he has had a new energy and more awareness. And it doesn't deal with the pain. So it does not deal with, this is a disclaimer, it does not help with the pain, but it helps him override the pain where he feels more like himself. And to be honest with you, Dr. J, I hadn't felt right since I took those COVID shots, which I did not want to take. And I'm not taking another shot, but that I had not felt right since then. I felt like I was, another person in my body. But since I've been taking these, I felt more like myself. The more I felt more aware of myself, whereas before I was disconnected and, different things was going on and, mentally, sluggish and, went through bouts, not no real deep depression, but, times of sadness and things, because I'm like, okay, my thought was always what's going on with me because I'm not feeling right. I'm not feeling like myself. What's going on? So, this has helped a lot. As a matter of fact, I feel 100% like Valerie now.
Thank you. I'm glad that you put the site back up again because it's important. Going back to your husband, the fact that he's found this incredible energy and having seen some of the work that he's done, even there at the house, landscaping. I mean, now, first of all, this is hard work. That's just hard work. And it's almost like there's this renewed passion or this renewed energy to be able to get things done. And that within itself affects his mental health, affects emotional health, affects so many different things. So when we start talking about health, health is multi-layered. Physical health, emotional health, you know what I'm saying? Mental health, spiritual health. All of those things are important and things that we must prioritize in 2024. Please, and I admonish everyone that's listening today, and we invite you that are listening right now, whatever, please comment in the comment section. Let us know that you hear us, and definitely if we're saying something that is resonating with you, please, let us know, because what we do know is this, is that you cannot allow people's opinion of you to stop you from moving forward. So even our own self-talk, and I go back to this, in 2022, it was actually end of 2022, becoming into 23. And I, like yourself, I had my health scares in 2022, going through the things I went through and end up having to have emergency brain surgery in May of 2022. And even in coming out of it and not knowing how things are going to be, but believing. And I remember having a conversation with Russell Tomlinson, Bishop Russell Tomlinson, and he and I were talking on the phone, and it was just such a delight as he began to just speak to me. He was ministering to me, and all of a sudden he just started encouraging me inside of things. And he said a phrase that I will never forget. And he said to me, he says, I know that you've gone through a lot. And you keep telling yourself, man, I've gone through so much and I've come through so much. And is it too late to start? Is it too late to rebuild? Is it too late to do those things? And he reminded me, he said, your age is not your cage.
Wow.
And when he said those words, your age is not your cage, there was something that released inside of me. What I realized was this, it isn't over. Listen, hope, faith doesn't have an expiration date. You have to understand your tenacity and your ability to rise above things does not have an expiration date. I tell people all the time, faith makes things not easier, but it definitely makes it possible.
It makes it possible.
And that's the thing about it. Your faith makes it possible. And I think that even today in the audience, we're speaking to someone who have found themselves in their own slump, have found themselves in their own dry season, have found themselves in their own season of doubt and drought. But today, what we're serving you today is the fact of a renewed mind, a rejuvenated spirit, a new outlook in 2024, that you make up your mind that I am going to have a walk of purpose, because I'm going to be deliberate, meaning that with pure intention. It will not happen by accident. It's going to happen because I purposed in my heart and my mind to do so. Then I'm going to be intentional. No, it won't be, excuse me, oh, I didn't know I was going to run into that. No, I was pursuing it. That's why I got it. I went after it. And we have to change that mindset. And you need nobody's permission. Don't ask for anybody's permission to confirm the new you that you decided to be. Because they don't ask for your permission to hold you back in the chapters of what you used to be. So you don't have to conform to that, because I think of this. If we look over our lives, we've all had seasons where we were in our developmental seasons. Developmental seasons. Developmental seasons happen in our life. Sometimes in the midst of the trials we're in, it's a developmental season. If we have the right perspective of it, what we're going through, we will recognize that it is actually preparing us for a due season. Yes, it's preparing us for a due season. Many people ran out of gas in 2023 because they did not understand the purpose of the season that they were in. And so when the wind started and the storm started and the winter started coming in their lives, many ran for shelter. Many ran and hid. Many said, no, I can't deal with this. Not understanding that all that was meant to develop them and prepare them for the due season that was coming. It was meant to expand their capacity. We often use the example, there's not a pregnant woman can ever give birth without there being some expanding that happens with her body. It has to make room. I will make room for you. I need to make room for the vision that you put in me, because I can't give birth to something that I've not made room for. You can't give birth to something that you have not made room for. You got to expand your mind, expand your thought. Some of us need to expand our ability. Start reading. Go back to reading books, listening to things. How are you going to have any new inspiration if you never pour anything new inside of yourself?
Exactly, Dr. J. And that is exactly what I mean when I say turn off that reality TV and stop looking at all these YouTube blitz and stuff like this, and you have nothing going on for yourself. Because guess what? When all that turns off, you're still left with you. So who are you? What are the things that you want to accomplish? You're going to let year after year after year go by and you've not accomplished anything because you're so self-absorbed into other people's lives, into other people's businesses, when you could have been creating your own business. You could have been creating your own lineage of wealth. Who are you? What is it that you want to accomplish? What are the things and the places that you want to go to, that you read about through social media and stuff, that you can actually go to for yourself instead of living through somebody else's reality? It begins all in the mind. Repurpose, recondition your mind. Motivational sermons are going out every single day. If you're going to look at something inspirational, something motivating that'll help you get from A to B, C, D, E, F, G, and onward. Not something that's going to keep you stuck at A, just watching. It's just like you in a car with the engine running and you're not going anywhere, but the car is running. The heat is on, the air conditioner is on, but you're not going nowhere. You're still at that stop sign, waiting and looking while people are going across the street back and forth, riding by you, and you still sitting there. That analogy I gave you is what people are doing every single day with their lives. They're just sitting there.
Yeah. Otis Redding had a song back in the day, said, sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. And many people will waste their lives doing that. Too often time we find ourselves mesmerized by other people. And sometimes, like you said, it's reality TV. It's not even real. These things are scripted. And people find themselves jealous and find themselves trying to live through their imagination, when the reality is that they can create their own reality. In other words, the reality that God has put inside of them, they haven't even begun to tap into. So it's hard for them to remain focused, fervent, and faithful. It's hard for them to do so. Why? Because they get distracted by other people's things. Don't get distracted by other people's things. Now, what am I saying? I'm not saying that you shouldn't be happy for other people. Matter of fact, that's a good place to be. When you see someone doing well, listen here, be encouragement, cheer them on. But by the same token, when you see someone not doing well, that's not the time to join in the boo party. That's the time to speak words, speak life. Because at the end of the day, we have to be the message and not just a messenger. We have to be the message. We are a message. We are a message. And our message is this: I'm determined. And see, here's the thing about it. You got to keep watching. Why you got to keep watching? Because who I am today won't be who I am tomorrow, because I'm striving to be better every time. When I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. And sometimes you have to forgive your past. Sometimes you have to forgive your immaturity. Sometimes you have to acknowledge, hey, that was immature. I have since grown. Don't wait on no one to give you a trophy and say, well, we now recognize that you've grown. No, you have to determine that, because there are some people that will keep you stuck, even as they did back in the days of Jesus. We read in passage scripture one time where the Bible said that Jesus could not do any miracles in this particular place. Why? Because of their unbelief. It was because people beheld him still as being, that's Joseph's son. That's Joseph's boy. That's who that is, the carpenter's son. They were so fixated on what they knew of him that they could not see who he is.
Who he really was.
And that's the same thing that happens in today's society. Many of you today, you have crumbled up under other people's opinion of you. Some of you have minimized yourself and become small because even in your own lineage, in your own line, mama them said that Tyrone was smarter than you. Mama them said Teresa was the smarter one. And you took that to heart and you stopped even trying. You start believing that, well, everybody else is better than you. But I'm saying to yourself is that you're going to have to cut the umbilical cord of those type of negative things poured into your mind, into your thought life. And understand, no, I can do all things. I can do all things. I can do what? All things. Through Christ.
That's right. Create your own path and blaze the trail. It's up to you. If anything is to be, it is up to you. You have everything you need to succeed. You have everything you need to get to the next level in your life. And you may say, well, Dr. Val, I don't have any friends. If you want friends, show yourself friendly.
Absolutely.
I don't even know where to go. Go out to a movie. Go take yourself out to dinner. You don't need another person to make you happy.
Yeah.
And then the next thing, Dr. J, is so many people are not living up to their age potential. You can be 40 years old and still living like you 18 or thinking you 18.
Absolutely.
And you stunt your own growth because there was a place of peace at that time and you don't want to move from that level of peace. The shift begins here. As I said earlier, you must get mental health. Go see a psychiatrist to see what caused you to be stuck, that you're sitting in a car with the engine running, going nowhere. Whose opinion of you dictated your reality where you feel that you can't be? I remember for years, I wrote it in my second book, Forgiving Your Past to Free Your Future. And I wrote in my book how my aunt, my great aunt actually told me I wasn't going to be anything. I wasn't going no further than that tree. And I was, so crumbled, so hurt by that I think I stayed in a marriage longer than I needed to stay in because I didn't want to be looked at as a failure. And when I did have the courage to leave that situation, I said, you know what? This one, I'm not going to allow myself to be killed in this situation to try and please somebody else. And a lot of times people lose their lives trying to live up to the image of somebody else's thought of who you're supposed to be. And I had the courage to walk away. Who are you listening to me right now that someone said something to you and it stunt your growth mentally, that caused you to go within a shell where you can't get out? You need to go and get professional help. And then also look in that mirror every day and decree things over your life. Say, I'm who God says I am. I'm fearfully and I'm wonderfully made. I'm beautiful. I'm handsome. I'm great. I'm wise. I'm strong. Start doing affirmations to empower yourself so that you will start believing it. The more you say it, the repetitions of you saying it will cause you to have action and be able to do this. Just like I said, I wasn't feeling well. Well, I started researching and doing things to see how I can feel better without your pharmaceutical drugs. I needed something natural. Invest in yourself. Read literature, motivational tapes, things that are inspirational, and by all means, connect back with God. Get your soul right and your body right so that you can be whole mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, family wise, relationships. Everything intertwines together to make you whole. And it seems like a lot, but it really isn't. It's just a total surrender in your mind that I'm going to be greater. I'm going to be better. I want more. This is what you need to say every day. I want more, and start working towards that more that you want.
You know, that's such powerful advice, Dr. Val, because of the fact you give yourself permission to want more. And you want more not just for other people so that you can go 9,999, but you want more because you recognize that, listen, it's in you to have more. You know, I believe this. Jeremiah 29:11 said, I know the plans and thoughts I have towards you. You know, and I love it. You know, to give you a future and a hope, to give you good success. You know, to help you and not harm you. And so when we understand what's inside of us, we can move toward that. When we understand what's inside of it, that's what I mean by that. What I mean by that is this. You got to understand everything that was created by the word, words that were spoken, let there be and there was, and all those things that happened. We have to understand this inside of our lives, that words have power. Whether it's the words we speak over ourselves or speak to ourselves or words that we speak to others, they have power. So that's why we have to be very careful about what we're around, the receptive vocabulary, the receptive thing that we hear. We have to cast down those thoughts, those imaginations that exalted itself against the knowledge of God, even against the knowledge that we have about ourselves. We have to make in our mind, I will not allow these things to stir in my spirit so long that it caused me to be defeated. Some of you today, you're stuck because of the fact of unforgiveness. Yes, not only unforgiveness of yourself, because sometimes the biggest person to forgive is yourself. It's hard. But some of you, you're dealing with unforgiveness of loved ones, or you're dealing with the pain of someone not forgiving you. You cannot be stuck there neither. You've got to understand, give yourself permission to live. I put it in a very short way. Since God knows all about us, since he declared our end from the beginning, it's amazingly he knew that you and I would mess up before we messed up. He knew that where we would fail before we failed. He knew where we would be unsuccessful before we were unsuccessful. And yet he still decided to love us anyway, because he understood that wasn't the end of the story. He knew what he had purpose for us. What happens when we learn to love ourselves beyond our shortcomings? What happens when we learn to love ourselves beyond our last failure? What happens when we learn to love ourselves beyond our last rejection? What happens when we learn to love ourselves beyond our last criticism? I tell you what happens. We find renewed strength. We find a different perspective. We find joy. And did you hear what I said? We find joy. We find joy, which is not just an emotion. No, joy is not an emotion. Joy is not a feeling. Oh, my God. I heard Bishop Del Bronner say this past weekend. He said, joy must be a focus before it's a feeling.
Wow.
It must be a focus before it's a feeling, meaning that we got to focus on it. When James said, and count it all joy, he said, look, it's going to come, but just count it all joy.
Count it all joy.
Count it all joy. Make up in your mind.
We're going to have opposition in life. It's life.
It's life.
Things are going to happen to us.
It's going to happen to us.
It's going to happen to us, in us, and around us.
And I decided to count it all joy.
We have to stand in who we are and those things that we want to accomplish. Am I saying 2024 is going to be touched with no type of depression or pain or hurt or anxiety? No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that you can get through it, and you can transition from 2023 to 2024 with a new perspective, with a new attitude, with this hope this hope of purpose, this hope of greatness, this hope of determination, this hope of wanting more and being more and achieving more in 2024.
More in 2024. You said it, more deliberate, more purposeful. Yes, more expectation, more doors in 2024. So, once again, we admonish you to make 2024 a walk of purpose. Starting once again, prioritize yourself. Number 2, examine your relationships. Make sure those relationships are fruitful, not toxic. Thirdly, make your health a priority. Your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health, your emotional health. Then fourth, be intentional, be deliberate. And with those things, you can expect more in 2024.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. J. It's been a pleasure working and serving with you this year
Absolutely.
and all the years prior. I mean,
Yes,
we go back like 35 years, and it's
yes,
always a blessing to be with you. And I want to thank you for this journey of hot topics from the soul. And I want to remind everyone to visit the website businesswithval.com, and
yes.
you will be excited and jubilant just like we are here, that I am here with these products here on the show. So until next year, 2024, we love you and God bless, and have a good evening and transition from one year to the next. Good night. God bless.
God bless.